This is an Audio Wool original.
This episode of Frightday is brought to you by Gates of Hell Chipotle Hot Sauce by Frightday. Bold chipotle flavor blended with habanero peppers for just the right burn. Kissed with garlic and passion fruit. Zero human blood, like none at all. Visit shop.frightday.com before the first batch disappears.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/frightday.
I mean, shouldn't you just put, like, if you want to just hear the good stuff, skip to this
Why
minute?
should I have to do that? Why can't it all be good stuff?
I think it is all good stuff.
It's not, because you obviously don't think that. You obviously know it's crazy.
No, I do think that. I just think that there's good stuff for, like, people who know
It
us.
should be for everyone.
I know, yeah.
You don't want to isolate them by weirding them out all the time. Can I say something?
No.
This is the worst setup we've ever had.
This one right now?
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Freshly stained porch, nothing on it. The fumes, not doing me any favors.
This part was painted like 5 days ago. You're fine.
Well, it doesn't feel good.
I think that's because it's smoky out.
Lawn chair. I'm sitting under one single light. I feel like I'm being interrogated.
I could interrogate you.
Don't.
It's not a lawn chair.
What is that? Oh, that's an inside chair outside?
It's an inside chair outside.
Well, I don't like
I think it's good.
I don't like any of it, but that's okay. It is Frightday. I'm your host, Byron. Sometimes the shame of your biggest regrets can rear its ugly head on inconvenient occasions. Whether nudged by others affected or triggered by fresh trauma, these wounds don't heal themselves unaddressed. And for the busy, stubborn, or avoidant, it just may take something significant, like a violent lion attack, to move things along. We'll talk about that tonight as we review Baltasar Kormákur's Beast. I'm joined tonight by Kelly.
Hello.
And Sam can't make it because he's chilling on a bone and viscera island.
Viscera.
Like that island in the middle of the swamp? Remember the movie we watched a week and a half ago that we're
Yeah.
talking about right now?
Viscera. I like it.
Yeah.
Look at you. Just throw in those words.
It's just another word for guts, Kelly.
I know. It's just one of those things. Like,
What?
I just feel like it's, trying to talk to Sam's ghost.
Gotta be careful. People are really curious.
I know. They think that he's dead.
Well, we haven't done him any favors. We haven't done that theory any favors. We haven't done you any favors.
I mean, I have had to work a lot since he...
Are you okay?
Yeah, I
Feeling
am.
hot. Is it the light?
Hot.
All right, we gotta
Feeling
figure.
hot.
We gotta figure out what we're doing.
Do you like the electric slide, Byron?
Let me take my coat off real quick. What are you talking about?
The electric slide.
The dance?
Yeah, well, the song and the dance.
I'd never done the dance.
So I had never heard of the dance until...
What if... No, this is how you start a show?
It is how I started a show until I was in Nicaragua. Like, had
better
one
be
night
good.
left there. It's not. I had one night left there, and we were in some really crappy hotel.
Okay.
Like, a TV that had to be from, like, 1974. Just played one channel, and it was music videos. And there was the original music video of the electric slide that came on. Oh, it is an epic video.
There's no way that this is your story. This is the story? Is that you watched a music video and you liked it?
And there's another part to it. Do you want me to tell the other part?
Yes.
I don't think you're going to be happier.
Oh, no.
So,
We had a heck of a show. We've got a great show
I'm involved
ahead.
in a Wordle tournament.
No, we talked about that. We're
And
done.
the electric slide came up.
We're done.
in
We're
the
done.
Wordle tournament.
The story's over. That's deranged storytelling. To assume that even you would be satisfied with listening to that story.
I would be.
No,
I think I would be.
the doggy days of summer, Kelly. What does it even mean?
I was just going to ask that, but
No
then I was
idea.
worried you were going to get mad at me for asking that.
I just don't know what it means. It's hot and the sun goes down sooner, and here we are on the porch again. Can I go home yet and record in my house in a proper studio where there's not a moth flying above my head?
I mean, there are multiple moths. No, you can't.
Great. We've got a great show for you today. Speaking of great things and great ways to open a show, we got a heck of a show ahead. So
We do.
We had a lovely conversation with a very special guest.
Such a great
Recorded
guest.
it earlier.
You know what I appreciated so much about this guest, Byron? He really likes Clifford.
Might be an exaggeration.
No, he does.
Let's not jump too far ahead into...
He does.
Really?
Known that man for many years.
Great. Kelly, I'm going to hand you this. Well, just wait for this airplane to pass.
Hello, airplane.
These DVD copies of The Animal aren't going to put themselves away. It's time for staff picks.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
What was that one?
That's Rob Schneider, of course.
What did Rob Schneider say recently?
Oh, he was on Glenn Beck's podcast.
Oh.
Talking about how when Kate McKinnon performed a song as Hillary Clinton.
It was the death of SNL or something?
Yeah.
So he's a dickhead, huh? I didn't know he was a dickhead.
I hate to burst your bubble, but most of the Happy Madison adjacent folks are kind of that
But
way.
not Sandler.
I bet he's fiscally conservative. I think that...
But I can't imagine he's...
So I get into this briefly in the talk we had with Wes, and actually the finished product isn't really horror. It's more of an American adventure comedy. Of course, I'm talking about Noel Marshall's 1981 cult classic, Roar.
Breathe the shadow of the eagle in the sunrise. Hear the music of the children in the moonrise. Feel the power of the lion when he roars like thunder. Roar. But you could get killed. The cat's got a little extra. Yeah, that's all. Oh.
Why did you bring us here? We're just gonna die.
Roar.
And do you know what your friends are probably doing to your family right now? They are eating. Shut up.
Roar.
Oh, God, you guys did talk a bunch about this
Not
one.
a bunch, just a bit.
I mean, it was quite a bit.
So yeah, humans were absolutely harmed in the making of this film, including Tippi Hedren.
Hedren. Who I mistakenly said was in Psycho, but she's definitely not.
She's in Birds, yeah. Did you know that Tippi is the mother of Melanie Griffith? And she played Melanie Daniels in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and a lot of other films. Roar was in development and production for 10 years, and it resulted in injuries to more than 70 members of its 140-person cast and crew. It's a lot. It was first released in 1981. It focuses on a wildlife researcher named Hank, played by The Exorcist producer, Noel Marshall, who lives with more than 100 wild animals, including cheetahs, elephants, lions, and tigers, black swans, too.
Black swans?
Yeah, on a preserve in the African plains. So when his wife, Melanie, played by Tippi, and their children, they pay a visit to the refuge, the family members find themselves in the middle of a huge cat fight as wild animals battle for dominance.
Ooh.
So most of the family was injured at some point in the production.
Which I'm sure makes it, more fun for some reason.
Melanie was clawed in the face so badly that she had to get plastic surgery.
You don't think that, she wanted plastic surgery for a long time and just used that as an excuse?
I don't think so. She always loved cats. She began rescuing lions and tigers in the early 1970s, and she actually still lives with lions and tigers, according to her granddaughter, actress Dakota Johnson.
Granddaughter?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Melanie Griffith is Tippi's daughter? And Dakota Johnson
Who's
is...
her dad?
I don't know. You might want to look it up. I mean, all of that aside, Noel was bitten through the hand when he interacted with a male lion during a fight scene, and doctors initially feared that he might have to lose his entire arm. So he suffered 8 puncture wounds on his leg caused by a lion that was apparently curious about his anti-reflection makeup. Very important when you're dealing with wild animals on a film set. You don't want to spook them with shiny stuff, but also...
Yeah.
Don't want to make things too curious. Yeah, he'd been bitten around 11 times in total. He was hospitalized when his face and chest were injured, and he was diagnosed with blood poisoning. Because cats are filthy animals.
I think I might have blood poisoning.
Actually, I don't know.
I might.
Yeah, he was also diagnosed with gangrene after being attacked.
Cut anything off? Do you have to like lose a foot?
I don't think so.
Hand?
It took him years to fully recover from his injuries. And then during a promo shoot in 1973, Tippy was bitten on the head by a lion. And the teeth went against her skull.
Yeah, here's what I would say.
Speaking of heads, though, the cinematographer was scalped and required almost 300
scalped?
stitches. Yeah, the lion ripped his fucking
I
head
didn't
off.
realize that large cats scalped people.
If you hook them the wrong way, it'll just...
Or the right way, maybe.
It'll flip the whole flap of your head open.
Flip you.
But yeah, so many more injuries. The thing was a total shit show. But the movie, it wasn't great. The documentary, however, Roar, the most dangerous movie ever made. It's pretty fun. So watch the documentary, then watch the movie. It's fun.
Okay.
I think it's remastered, too. I can't remember if Shudder put it out when I watched it the first time.
I don't know. I feel like just moral of the story, don't keep wild animals as pets.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that can scalp you. Oliver wouldn't be able to rip the top of my head off.
I mean, you really never know. Shit could happen.
He's got very strong
jacked.
jaw. Chews those bones all the time.
Yeah.
Practicing.
Yeah. Well, mine is...
The Birds.
No. But I do love The Birds.
It's a good movie.
I really love The Birds. And I've also been thinking a lot about arachnophobia recently.
You mentioned that a minute ago. It's getting remade. Did you know that?
No. Who's remaking it?
I could have swore it was James Wan.
Meh.
But let me figure that out. What were you going to say about arachnophobia? Is that the
Oh,
movie?
nothing. I was just saying that those were some that I ran through, but then I was like, I'm instead going to go a different direction, and I'm going to go for horror movies based in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of fun.
So go ahead. What were you going to say about
it
remake?
says it's being remade with Atomic Monster. Christopher Landon directing. I think that's the guy from all of those Happy Death Day movies.
Oh, he's kind of fun. I can deal with that.
Freaky, Happy Death Day, and Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. So.
Oh, good. Cool. Well, it'll be fun at least. This little flick came out in 2010. Really not sure the directors did anything significant beyond the making of this movie. There were some other movies they made, but it certainly isn't anything that I've ever seen. It's a movie called The Dead.
This is Flight Engineer, Lieutenant Brian Murphy. Sole survivor of military evacuation flight, Lima, November 260.
Our orders are to be at the roadblocks, to stop the spread by shooting the infected. But I left to find my son.
Yep. And you can probably guess by the title, it is a zombie flick.
Movie. Yeah,
yep.
I remember this one.
Yeah, so this plane crashes in the African desert, filmed specifically in Burkina Faso. This American mercenary is the sole survivor of this plane crash in the African desert, and plot twist, it's a zombie apocalypse. He's trying to figure out a way off of this island. Actually, I can't remember if it is. No, it isn't an island. He comes out of the water onto the sand.
Sure.
That's right. But it's
Water
actually
landing.
just... Right. This zombie apocalypse is ensuing, and he's trying to make his way to safety and also survive his injuries from the plane crash. And he's a mercenary, so there's some subtext that he's a pretty bad dude. It's not great.
Okay.
I watched it a couple years after it came out, before we started doing this.
Yeah, totally not something.
But I do remember the scenes of Africa being really cool and striking. I mean, I feel like there were some pretty significant historic cultural allegories at play, which I appreciated, even if the acting was real bad. It's a fun zombie flick, and it's a slightly different twist on a zombie flick, which, yeah, I think it's fun.
Huh.
Yeah, the Ford brothers directed it. Not sure at all if they did anything else significant. They made a movie with Tony Todd called The Lockdown Hauntings in 2021.
Was it during the lockdowns?
Yeah, it was. It
Okay.
was. I don't recognize any of the movies that they made, but who knows? I could be just an idiot too.
No. Come on.
I mean, their IMDb photos.
Well, they did a sequel to The Dead.
Yeah, The Dead 2 India?
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
Huh.
Did you see The Dead?
Probably not.
No. Okay. Well, the brothers were I guess, known for even before they started making feature films. They were known for filming in extreme locations like Africa and India.
If it's truly like the only like part of your character is like we like really extreme,
somos extremos.
So let's go take advantage of all of these.
Just exploit other countries more than we already have. We're pretty great, I would say.
Well, they're fine. I mean, they're working on a new movie called Russian Roulette about a sadistic serial killer broadcasting on the dark web on a betting competition whose participants are forced to kill each other.
Those are the things that I avoid pretty religiously.
Shining recommendations from both of us. Whoops, dropped my phone. Really sorry. Today. Great films, so I guess check those out. But it is time to lock up. It's too hot. No one's here.
Well, nobody has a VCR anymore, Byron. Nobody even has a DVD player anymore.
I thought we were business partners.
I'm sorry. I think we have a really shitty business model.
But before we lock up, I'd like to step into the back room and take a second to welcome and initiate some new members to the Frightday Society. Mabel B.
Okay, Mabel, you have an amazing name, and I really hope that you have watched.
I'm breaking the rule. Mabel Babel was what was in here.
Okay, that's amazing.
So it could be a pseudonym, but either way, it's a blast.
It is a blast. I really hope, Mabel, that you are familiar with the spooky cartoon show Gravity Falls and its main character, Mabel. Sam has a magnificent Mabel t-shirt that he wears and is complimented on regularly. I, of course, bought it for him. And I have a Dipper hat that I wear and am complimented on regularly. And I would like you to either tell me what your favorite Gravity Falls episode is, or watch 5 of them and tell me which was your favorite. It's X-Files in cartoon form.
Yeah, no one needs to watch cartoons past the age of 10.
Okay, stop it. If you don't understand how many cartoons there are out there that are like actually intended for adults and spectacular.
I don't care who it's intended for. It's not for me.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to fucking Mabel Babel.
Great.
Yeah.
Ooh, an Inner Circle member. Someone paid a little bit more to get some correspondence from Kelly.
They did?
Kelly, please. I'm begging you. At this point, I'm publicly shaming you.
I don't mind being publicly shamed.
Just write them a letter.
Can we send a video of me doing the
Write the page. It's not that hard.
It isn't that hard. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Please.
It's that anytime I think of it, it's when we're sitting right here.
I'll text you in the morning.
Do.
Okay.
Do.
Okay, really.
I'll write it at the lake tomorrow.
You actually owe them extra pages at this point.
I do. I probably owe them 6. I would say I owe them 6 pages. You can't complain about what is contained in those 6 pages.
I'm not even going to read them.
Okay, great.
Tim H.
Oh, Tim H. I'm really excited to get your feedback on the letter that's going to be coming your way.
I'll be writing. Yeah, it's fine. I'll write it.
I'm actually genuinely, now it's locked in my brain as like a joyful exercise that's going to happen tomorrow. It
has to be on topic. I'm going to write it. It doesn't matter.
It's on topic.
Okay, great.
It's on topic.
Cool, it's fine. I'll write
Fuck
it.
off,
It's supposed to be
topic.
on moons because it was supposed to be in June.
It's on topic.
Okay.
It's gonna fucking thread moons to Lemuria. You just wait for this.
Great. Tim, what's he going to do?
I'm really glad that you're on board and that you have rejoined the Inner Circle.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen it before.
And I hope Byron hasn't given me false information, but I would really like your input on your favorite non-Krampus Christmas horror character. Okay?
This is fun. This is nice.
We're trying to cook up some really fun things for the holidays this year.
Brew up.
We are. We are trying to brew up. That's a really good point. And we would love to hear some input from you as to non-Krampus, folklore, spooky holiday traditions.
Now we're talking.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Woo! All right, jumping right to it. I'm very excited for folks to hear this conversation. And if this is the kind of thing that y'all like, we might just do more guest reviews because, I mean...
We know some cool people.
We do.
You would be surprised.
We got cool friends.
For people that...
They're not all Jacob.
Oh, see, I like Jacob.
I do too.
Some days.
Guy gets us in trouble.
Other days?
Writer's Room's working on a Jaws episode because he's never seen it before, and he's watching it right now.
This is why you're friends with him, because of weird shit like that.
No, I'm nervous. You know how he hates everything.
Well, we got to make sure that Wes listens to it.
Wow.
You heard Wes say...
I did, and they're about to hear that.
Yeah.
As we review Beast.
hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Beast is a 2022 American survival thriller directed by Baltasar Kormákur from a screenplay by Ryan Engel. Recently widowed Dr. Nate Daniels and his 2 teenage daughters travel to a South African game reserve managed by Martin Battles, an old family friend and wildlife biologist. However, what begins as a journey of healing soon turns to a fearsome fight for survival when a lion, a survivor of bloodthirsty poachers, begins stalking them. And to help us talk about all of that and more, we've got a little help from a wildlife biologist, animal behavior expert, and the host of Tooth and Claw, a podcast breaking down true stories of the most extreme wild animal attacks ever documented, Wes Larson. Happy to have you tonight, Wes.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Byron. I've been chatting his ear off about you forever, and your podcast is so much fun. Most of them I can actually let my kids listen to. We've been talking a lot about snake venom recently, and like anti-venom, you can't overdose, kids. If you're on your own, ask for as much snake venom as they will give you, or anti-venom as they'll give you.
Get as much as you need.
Yep.
As much as you need.
Yep. But I have known Wes for a disgustingly long time now.
Our whole lives.
Yeah, which is really weird to think about. But I feel like there's certain people that I tether to in order to maintain like my faith in humanity and like the human experience. And like, you know, sometimes I'll be like, oh, this couple's a really great couple. It makes me remember like those things exist. Wes is one of those people that I swear to you from birth, this is what he was destined to do. And it just makes me have so much more faith in the way the world works out. Like, you're doing what everybody would have wanted you to do and thought you wanted to do and knew you were in love with from like the teeniest, tiniest age. So that in and of itself, I think, is amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Like, you know, people always ask that question of like, would my 8-year-old self be proud of me? And mine definitely would.
Oh, so proud.
Just because.
So proud.
Just because I was obsessed with animals at that age.
Yep.
And I tried to kind of deviate from it. I tried to do something that would actually make some money. And and I just got right back into wildlife. So
yeah. You probably don't remember this, but I think first grade, second grade, maybe on the playground, I remember you talked me into eating a grasshopper.
I was going to bring that up because we talk about this a lot on our podcast, my bug eating obsession, and how it went on for a while. Like I was eating a lot of bugs, and I was going to ask you if you remembered that. So I'm glad you brought it up.
In fact, I was giving my sister
Did you do a good job
crap.
eating that bug?
That part I don't remember. I'm sure I cowered it out. I've always been a wuss, so I'm sure I wussed out.
I think you did it though.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. I remember us like. I remember the corner of the playground that we'd go to, and I'd catch bugs and eat them. And I remember you eating one. So
that's amazing. Yeah, my sister is this crazy health food nut, and she was eating like crickets for protein a while ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, full circle, Wes. You need to start like an insect protein business.
Apparently, yeah.
This movie, obviously, I mean, I think some more context, Wes, it's my understanding you still really like horror movies too and scary things.
I do.
And ironically, Byron, we won't be able to get into this, but I think you guys have a lot of overlap in your musical tastes as well.
Oh, well, that's good.
Oh, cool.
Wes was like on the Warped Tour circuit forever back in the day. And
Yeah.
You know, someday.
That's my scene.
It is, yeah. Someday you guys can chat all about that. But
we'll have to do that.
Yeah, totally.
This movie is maybe a little bit, I don't want to be down on it. It's a little bit more cheesy than what we would normally cover, but it was just such a cool opportunity to be like, wow, this is something Wes could talk about.
A horror film either, but
I would argue my 30,000 foot view, the most horrific part of it to me was the poaching, and that's like what I'd love to hear Wes's thoughts on once we get into it. But surface level, it's about this guy who takes his family to South Africa, kind of trying to heal from his ex-wife and their mother, his children's mother, who's just passed away. And there's this crazy lion on the loose. But the story behind it is the lion may or may not be totally justified in wanting to kill every man he comes across because they slaughtered his whole family. So
it was a great cold open. A really impactful cold open, though. Like it was. It was. I'm just curious because, like, in preparation for this, I listened to the Lions of Tsavo 2-parter that you did.
Oh, thank you.
And it was great.
Awesome.
Kelly and I, before we hopped on, and I don't know if this is too early to be talking about it, but like the sentience of animals like that, it seems to be choosing to be violent towards humans.
Right.
Is that how they react in the wild?
So they there is some research that that shows that big cats have the capacity for revenge, which is really interesting. And it's been more documented in tigers than it has in lions, as far as I know. There's this really interesting book by John Valiant called The Tiger. That book is all about this tiger in Siberia or in Russia that killed like a hunter because the hunter had injured it, and then it like continued killing hunters and it was targeting them, and it was like a pretty clear, as far as like anecdotally clear case of revenge in a big cat. So I don't think it's too far to like, that wasn't like, there's a lot of big logic jumps in this movie. That wasn't the one that really bothered me the most. I think that's something that you can like wrap your brain around, that maybe a lion, if you did kill its whole family, would, want to kill some people as a revenge thing. I don't think that's typical behavior. That's like, maybe 1 in a billion lions that has that inside of it, but I don't think it's impossible either.
It's like Land of the Dead.
I do think they have that capacity.
When the zombies start using weapons and pointing each other in the direction of humans, like, it's very rare. Exactly. It's not common.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, all jokes aside, from an evolutionary standpoint, and this is like an unanswerable question, but just based on your knowledge, like, if generations continue to poach like this, do you think that is the kind of instinct that could become more of a natural thing, evolutionarily speaking, 20 generations down the road?
In populations of large carnivores where they're hunted extensively, you typically see a greater fear of people more than anything. Like, you see a higher avoidance of people, but that also can lead to more aggression. If you have like a population that's hunted really hard and then you happen to corner one of those animals, it is going to be fearing for its life. It's not going to be a curiosity thing. Right. And then it's going to go into that fight or flight response, which for most animals is flight, but for a big male African lion, it could be fight. So I do think when a population's hunted, it does bring in kind of some more nuance. But typically it's more just that they're more afraid of people. Okay, so one more question about the psychology of this lion in the movie, because I was thinking about this. Yeah. With humans, okay, if your whole, I don't know, it reminds me of like a old Charles Bronson movie or something. Like, if your whole family is wiped out and you've got like this nothing to lose mentality, is that something that a lion, from, just like a survival standpoint, would be capable of? Like, his job was to protect his pride. His pride is gone, so... Yeah. That's kind of that was kind of where I had a bit of a problem too. Is like, this is a male lion, and for them, they're not. I hesitate to say this because I it's hard to say like what a male lion feels for its offspring or for its mates, but as far as like bringing up those cubs and like doing most of the work within that pride, it's mostly the females doing that, and the male is mostly there to protect and to feed and to kind of do his thing. But I don't think that if you were to kill a pride of lions and leave the male, that he's going to feel, and again, like, it's really hard to say like how animals feel, but it wouldn't seem normal to me that they would feel like a great sense of loss. It would be more like, oh, I need to procure another mate so that I can have more offspring. Okay. That makes sense. For every animal, like there's this biological imperative to reproduce. And for a male lion, that's like the number one thing driving them, is just to have cubs. To eat and have so cubs. I think, is that like it? Yeah, exactly. To survive and to have cubs. And so I think for a lion that loses its pride, it's more like, shoot, there goes my cub making opportunities. I need I have to go find a new one. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Fine. Real quick side thing. I'm on the IMDb page and it's auto playing some sort of Q&A with Sharlto Copley, who happens to be wearing a Montana Institute for the Arts t-shirt, which I thought was really weird. But then I realized that, remember, he played Ted Kaczynski in that Ted K movie, which they did shoot in Lincoln. So, hold on, wait a second. Is this the guy that plays the anti-poacher? Uncle Martin. No. Sharlto Copley, one of my favorite guys, Uncle Martin. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, we could talk a little bit about that relationship too. Uncle Martin grew up with Edris Elba's ex-wife. Dr. Nate Samuels is his name, but Uncle Martin knew Idris Elba's ex-wife, and now they're going back to heal, I guess, is probably what they're doing. So yeah. So this is another, like, I'm going to be honest. It's I didn't like this movie. Yeah, that's great. I really wanted to like it. And for me, like, I love movies. I'm a pretty easy customer. Like the only thing I like is on par with me for my love of animals is my love of movies. But weirdly enough, like movies about animals, I have a really hard time not just picking apart.
Of course.
But this one went far past that for me. Like, and something I have an issue with is I hate that every survival movie these days has to be like therapy. Like there has to be this thing that like they're getting over as they're surviving. Every single one of them is that way these days. And it's kind of, I just like,
it's cheap.
You instantly know what's going to happen.
The resolution has nothing to do with surviving. It's surviving and also overcoming grief.
Right.
Every modern film.
Right.
Yeah, I get why they do that. I get that there has to be more than just like, oh, we need to get through this experience. But there really doesn't have to
go
be.
To Jurassic Park or Jaws.
Or Jaws,
Both
exactly.
of those, yep.
Like those are perfect movies. And you didn't have to have this backstory of like an estranged child and their dad.
Yeah, but I would say that the police officer in Jaws is like overcoming some things. They're not quite as obvious and on the surface.
But it's such a minor plot point, and it's just a nuance of like being a human being. It's not like, hey, we're going to push this in your face and be like, oh, my wife just died and my daughter hates me and now I'm going to win their love back by killing a lion barehanded.
By fist fighting a lion, of course, to make up for abandoning my ex-wife while she had cancer. Great.
Okay, so if we weren't trying, like, forget the trauma thing and that, like, let's just pretend it is a survival situation. If you were in that car after it crashed, you can't really go anywhere.
Well, let's talk about the village real quick, though. Is that something that happens? I want to talk about like the realities of this. Is a lion ever going to attack and kill an entire village, leave all of the bodies without eating them?
I think like I like both of your questions. I want to get to
great.
both of those. Yeah. But the village one, predators do sometimes do this thing called surplus killing, where they'll kill if they have easy prey. Wolves are famous for doing this. If they have easy prey, they'll kill a lot of them and then come back and eat kind of at their leisure. I wouldn't put it past a lion to do that, but it's not typical behavior. Like those lions of Tsavo, which were famous for just like harassing this railroad construction for months. They would come in every night and they had easy pickings, but they would kill like one person generally and consume them. Yeah. And so that's the thing that's really not typical about this whole thing is like them killing people and not consuming them isn't lion behavior at all. That's not like that's the behavior of maybe like a grizzly bear or an animal that's very territorial and that doesn't necessarily see you as a food item. When lions kill people, they're trying to eat them. It's not a territorial thing. It's not like unless they're like being hunted or shot or something, which again this lion kind of was. Yeah, right. They're trying to eat people when they kill people. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's I don't think that was very realistic.
Okay.
Them slaughtering the village like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, if you had been in that car right after it's in the accident, and I mean, what would you do? First of all, I have to say my husband is like a total gun nerd and was like freaking out about everything having to do with weapons in this movie. He's like, oh, what are they doing? Oh my God. He was like,
they're being ridiculous about everything.
But
I mean, there's the horror trope of like, why are they doing that? Like no one would ever do that. And this movie was just chock full of those moments. But I think, if you're stranded in the African, bush and you have a lion that's trying to get you, you should stay in your car. Like, just stay in your car. They weren't far from where they had seen that other guy. You just stay in the car. And I know they lost the window and like cram something in that window, block up that window.
Put the youngest daughter in front of the window the entire movie.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
keep putting the most weak.
Okay, see, I would argue she was the smartest one there in terms of survival instincts.
She was.
Okay. And so it made sense. But
no, it doesn't make sense. There's plenty of room in the car. They didn't need to sit in the seats.
Yeah.
That was driving me nuts.
That's the other thing too, that like South Africa is a really unique place in that like pretty much all their wildlife is in reserves. So everywhere you go in South Africa where you're seeing wildlife, even like Kruger National Park, is fenced. Okay. And it's like well patrolled, and it's like there are people that know every single inch of those reserves. And so if you were to get in an accident, you would just have to wait. And maybe if you completely run out of water and food, then you have to think about something else. But it was like They were like 2 hours into that when they're like, we got to go get help.
Right.
Well, and
So
the
it's funny you
oldest
say
daughter
that,
just
Wes,
loves
'cause-
leaving the car repeatedly as well.
Well, she's just trying to get away from her dad. Yeah. But I mean, as an expert in teenagers, because I work with teenagers for my real job, I will say that though I think she was a terrible actress, her specific behavior was very believable from a teenage standpoint, I will say. Completely illogical, demonstrating no frontal lobe development. Like, it made a lot of sense from that perspective to me.
But at that point, Nate needs to step up and quit, like, asking her to stay with the other daughter. He should know that she's not going to do that.
But he's obviously a bad dad.
Yes.
We all know. Like, he's a bad dad in this movie.
He was a bad dad.
You know what's another weird thing for me was kind of how it was shot. Just how there was like very long shots.
Super long
like
shots.
Following them. And then like their conversation too. Like the dialogue was really disjointed and it seemed like they never really were like upset or panicked or anything. Like the acting and the dialogue were really strange to me. No one ever seemed scared.
Well,
really, aside from the girls.
They even like phoned it in, like when they're like, oh, the trank gun, and then they like the camera's still in the car with them, and they're like knocking stuff off of the seats. But the two girls are like just using filler, like background dialogue, like, oh, what's
it was really
over.
strange.
And everyone's just
Uncle Martin. I think Uncle Martin sold the scared when he was like bleeding out under that
he's an
tree.
incredible actor.
I think I bought it.
Oh, we should talk maybe a little bit about why were there just bones hanging from the trees in that swamp?
Exactly, that was unexplained.
Okay, good.
Because I've never been to South Africa. I mean, is that like a thing?
It's not a typical thing there.
Okay.
No.
Well, what I thought was odd about that is it implied that this lion had been like malevolent for more than 6 hours or something, which didn't make any sense. Like it was this suddenly evil lion that had this little island in a swamp full of carcasses and bones.
Right. That was the scene that was the hardest for me because I work with grizzly bears and I have to constantly think about, what to do in any given situation with the grizzly bear. And for me, like there's a couple circumstances that are like the most dangerous that you can go into with the grizzly bear or with any large predator. And one of those is coming upon a kill, like a carcass that's being actively fed on, and especially if it's a human being, because that animal is like keyed up and it's already attacked someone and it will do it again. And so when they come upon that first victim and he's in the road or whatever, and then Uncle Martin immediately goes like walking off into the bush alone, in my mind I was like, no wildlife professional in the world would do that.
Car.
Like
go back.
You'd get the person in the car and you'd go get them to help, and then you come back and you try and figure out what happened and you try and kill the animal that did it. But that was crazy. And then there's like a crocodile that swims through the water and he wades out into the water.
Yeah.
It just made no sense.
Okay, so his motivation though, wasn't it he was trying to see if there was anybody else that survived from the village because they were his friends, and
but
he wanted
like walked
to see if...
into the swamp though.
I mean, it was stupid.
He kind of, but he was like also trying to find the lion.
Yeah.
And to me it's like you have a victim that's on the brink of death. That's what you focus on.
One.
Like you don't go looking for more victims. You help that person and you get them out of there.
So before we move too far away from you, you mentioned you work often with bears.
Yeah.
We should probably talk a little bit about that before I ask you the question about the Timothy Treadwell autopsy pictures.
Yeah.
Something that makes me sound a little less like a sociopath.
Yeah.
So what is your history with working with grizzly bears?
I started in polar bears in 2011. I worked on a polar bear project for like 7 years. Concurrently with that, I started a black bear project in Utah, worked with black bears. With black bears, I was actually capturing them and collaring them and kind of doing all the hands-on stuff. And then right after
when you say working with, is that just observing or like?
Yeah, it was research. It was all research. Okay. And I was getting my master's at the time. So I got my master's in bear-human conflict. And so pretty much everything I've studied has been either like how we affect bears or how they affect us. And then I went to India and was working with sloth bears over there, which are actually the most dangerous of all the bear species. Really? And then the pandemic kind of shut that work down. Came back here, kind of had to do a reboot on everything, and started working at Yellowstone last year, and that was my first job with grizzly bears. But yeah, pretty much everything I've done has circled around bear-human coexistence.
So working at Yellowstone, I mean, I can't even imagine how frustrating that is on a daily basis. Watching the stupidity, like, oh my gosh, that's got to be hard.
People are getting better, and for us, like, that's kind of my job, is to show up and make sure everyone's behaving, and really people do pretty well. And sometimes we have to haze the bears away or kind of like teach the bears a lesson. And in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to do that. But it's such like, I mean, we get 5 million visitors a year. So we have to make sure that our bears aren't getting too used to being around humans. But yeah, it's been really rewarding work, and I absolutely love it. And like, grizzly bears have always been my favorite animals. So this is a really great job for me.
That's amazing. So this is embarrassing. I've never even heard of sloth bears before.
Yeah.
Are they prevalent? Like, are they endangered? Is it only in India? They're
mostly on the Indian subcontinent. So like India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, that general area. But I'm actually writing a paper on this right now. Because they've like co-evolved with tigers.
I was going to say, I'm staring at so many tiger versus sloth bear pictures right now.
Because of that, and because they actually are a prey item for tigers, and they don't climb trees or anything to get away, they've just evolved this really aggressive response to a tiger. And it's kind of like, so the tiger's like, oh shit, I don't know if this is like something I want to fight, because I'm going to get messed up. They use that same response on any threat. So they use it on humans too. And for us, it's devastating. Like a tiger can take some of that and still often kill the bear, but for us,
so can an Idris Elba. An Idris Elba can take a lot.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Still be fine.
Timothy Treadwell is an interesting figure in
he is
bear research. Would you have a personal opinion about him? And for folks who don't know, he's the subject of a really incredible documentary called Grizzly Man.
Yeah,
that I recommend highly, but maybe not his behavior towards bears or techniques.
He was definitely passionate, and I respect his passion. And I respect that he thought he was helping bears, but he definitely wasn't. And he for sure got at least one bear killed, if not others, because those are big coastal brown bears. They're grizzly bears, but you can like, because they're so well fed, because they're eating salmon and they have all these coastal resources, they're not a very territorial bear. They're not very aggressive. They're the ones that you can get really close to, and they take tours out to take photos of them and everything. And he learned that. And that's why there's all these great scenes of him like approaching bears and touching bears pretty much.
He hugged some, right? Was that?
He touches them. I don't know. Yeah, but he eventually he met the wrong bear. He met a bear that decided he was food. If you hang out with bears long enough, that's going to happen. But the really tragic part of it for me was A, that he got his girlfriend killed as well, and B, that he habituated a lot of those bears to human presence. And a lot of those bears that were going to be much wilder now, if there is like a hunter or something, they're like, oh, it's my buddy, and they start running up and they get shot. And so, or they just like are too aggressive and too comfortable around people. And so it's just not a good thing for a bear. And so he was definitely very misguided.
Was he professionally trained in any way?
No.
He was like Byron in the woods with bears.
Hey, listen, just like I'm not that even keeled. No. I wouldn't just walk up to a grizzly. That stood out to me that you were discussing on your podcast that you saw his autopsy photos, and the morbid part of me is like, is that publicly released? I know that in the Werner Herzog documentary. Yeah. It's not. You're a lucky guy. Okay,
no.
Byron, you can't get them. Byron, you can't.
We'll
don't
just
ask
exchange
either.
emails afterwards. It's fine.
That's gross.
But
I was sworn to secrecy with those.
Fine.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I won't wink.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I know that Werner Herzog listened to the audio of what happened.
Yeah.
Was that destroyed?
I actually had the opportunity to sit down with Werner for a couple hours and talk to him about it. Yeah, and he told me that the audio was like so awful, and my advisor when I was doing my master's had the audio because he worked with that population of bears, and that's how I got access to the photos and everything. And he offered to let me listen to it, and I started, and I didn't really want to hear it. It was too much. And he explained it's like essentially 15 minutes of you hearing people, like you can hear him being dismembered by the bear.
Yeah.
So it's not just
anything anyone should hear.
You have no idea, Wes, how much Byron wants to hear that right now. Like you have no clue. He's dying that he can't hear that.
I kind of regret not listening to it, but I don't
think you should.
Sometimes that stuff sticks with you more than you think it would. And I feel like I'm pretty desensitized, but I've seen stuff where I'm like, ooh, I really wish I wouldn't have seen that.
No, I've made those mistakes. Yeah. You make those mistakes and they sneak up on you too.
And if you work with grizzlies, you don't, there's like a good respect fear balance for me. And I don't want that to tip more to fear. Like I I like it where it is.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it's amazing how with all that education, something that fearful could really like throw off educational instincts, I would imagine. Like,
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty hard
to
counteract human nature.
As far as like the common person goes, my chances of getting eaten by a grizzly are much, much, much higher. And so I do
Very
like
true.
it's
an occupational hazard a little bit.
I don't need in my brain necessarily.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
So
Back to the movie.
While we're on bears, because this is important to me, back to my little sister who also, she eats crickets and then also was in Glacier with her boyfriend a couple weeks ago. Guy comes down the trail and is like, there's a grizzly right behind me. You guys need to back up. They backed into a lake.
Yeah.
And the grizzly followed them into the lake.
Really? Into the water?
Into the water. Not super far into the water, but into the water.
Huh.
And then there was this huge moose right behind them.
Wow.
And like,
That's
so they were
intense.
between the grizzly bear and the moose.
Yeah, I'm more afraid of the moose.
See, that's what I was going
Yeah.
to say. I mean, like,
Yeah.
first of all, hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation in a national park. But if you do,
Yeah.
what's the smart thing to do, Wes?
I mean, if you're in a place that's grizzly country, you should have bear spray.
They did.
Good. So as soon as you see a bear and it's closer than, it's like closer than 100 yards or whatever, you want to get your bear spray out and get it ready. So get the safety off, get it out, be ready to go. Group up and slowly back away. In that situation, if they're backing away from that bear and it's following them, likely it was just trying to kind of walk the same path as them. And then maybe as they went into the lake, it was like, what are they doing? And it was a little curious to see.
Sure.
But in Yellowstone, at least 90 something % of our attacks have all been on groups of 1 or 2. It's incredibly rare that they end up making contact with more than 2 people. So if you group up and you get that bear spray out, with bear spray and a small group like that, your chances of actually like getting into contact with that bear are essentially 0.
Awesome. Okay, good.
It could still happen, but it's like very, very, very extremely rare. So sounds like they did the right thing. It's good that they had bear spray. Sounds like a cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, they have video of it. I'll have to
Cool.
send
I want
it
to
to
see
you
it.
because it's
Yeah.
super interesting. And
Yeah.
she's lived in Southern California now for a number of years, and so I mean,
So
not
she's
that I
lost
have
her
these
instincts. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, us girls in that family, I don't know how many instincts we had to begin with. So like that was, I was glad to hear that they made some good choices because I'm like, oh my God, if it had been me and I had to pull the bear spray out, I can almost guarantee you I would have shot myself with the bear spray and ended up like.
What's the worst thing we could do?
The worst thing is to run.
Okay.
Like when a predator sees you or an animal that, could be predatory, they're kind of doing this calculus. Like, is this a threat? Is this something that I can eat? They're just trying to figure out what you are. If you turn and run, it's like, oh, this is food. Like that instantly clicks in their head. Things that run from them are food.
Okay.
And so you're making that decision for that animal. You're telling it that you're food if you turn and run from it. And that's for animals that might eat you. Like a moose or something you actually do want to run from. But a bear or a mountain lion or anything like that, any animal that could eat you, you never want to run from them, ever.
So is that why I've seen that video of a bear chasing someone on a bicycle on a trail? Is it?
Yeah, that's a fake one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. But that does
I
happen.
haven't
Like
seen that.
fast-moving things like mountain lions, grizzlies, for them, like trail runners, mountain bikers get attacked at a higher percentage just because they're like, oh, a fast-moving object like this might be food.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't a bad idea that you run on West Broadway instead
I
of
love
out in the
running
woods
on
like
the
everybody
sidewalk.
else in
I'm a
town.
huge fan of asphalt. Yeah. Though while we're talking about fake things, what do you think about the CG of Beast? Because Kelly and I were talking about this before the show too.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning when he's like, hug wrestling with
Uncle Martin runs
which
up and
I have a
hugs two
lot of
lions.
feelings about that too.
Oh, I'd love to hear 'em.
Yeah. So the CG, I think is like, as I was watching it, I was thinking about watching Jumanji when I was a kid and the lion in that and how terrible it looked.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, oh, this is amazing. And now like, I know I like went back to that movie a few years ago and was like, oh man, this is god awful CG. Yeah. But I really, really miss animals and like, I say this from like a weird place because I think that whole industry of having animal actors can be really terrible too.
Sure.
But it's so much more convincing. And I think as far as the CG for like today's standards where they just kind of like crank them out, I think this one was okay. Like it at least moved like a lion and it kind of like vocalized like a lion. It felt like a lion to me. What I hate is in movies sometimes they like make everything move like a bear, or they just make it like really clunky and stuff. This looked like a cat to me.
Okay.
So I was happy with that, but I don't know. I think I know me and Kelly are from the same generation. I'm sure you are
pretty
too.
close.
But like for me, like I go back and watch like Jurassic Park. Sorry, we're going down a real wormhole.
I love it. No, I'm into it.
And I think like, wow, this is really convincing, amazing CG.
It holds up.
And it's because it was new and they put so much time into every little detail, and there's a whole team of people working on that. And nowadays it's like the guy that does the CG is just like, does his thing and cranks it out. And it just feels cheap. Sure. But at least they got the animal movements right. So I wasn't like, this wasn't one where I was like, this is awful.
Do you think there was was there any real lions in this?
No, there was no real lions.
Okay.
I'm positive.
I know. I heard Idris talk about they had some huge dude in some type of a costume that was supposed to be like
motion
simulating
capture.
The lion's presence.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that just sounded weird too. Like, how are you supposed to?
Yeah, the thing with him, like with like Uncle Martin going up and hugging the lions, I know that was like a callback to all these YouTube videos of like people that, raise lions and then they still recognize them in the wild and all this stuff. But to me, it's like, if I'm on a safari in Africa and my guide gets out and goes and hugs a lion, I'm like, oh, so I'm in a zoo. I'm in a petting zoo. I'm not on a safari. These are this guy's pets that I'm seeing. It's not a wild lion.
Right.
So that would have completely taken, like, I would have been like, oh, let's go see something wild because this doesn't matter to me anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, another wild tangent real quick. I keep thinking of the movie Roar.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
We're going to do an episode on it. I haven't seen it, but I've watched part of the documentary on it.
Well, it's an odd movie because it is kind of a documentary in its own.
Yeah.
They just filmed with these lions for like an extended period of time and then tried to piece together some sort of story to coincide with what was going on.
It was like Tippi Hedren or something.
Yeah.
What?
And like dozens of people got mauled on the production.
Even Tippi Hedren got cut in the face pretty severely.
Yeah.
Isn't she the lady from Psycho? Is she the lady from Psycho? She's the lady from Psycho, isn't she?
I think so.
I believe
I can't remember.
The Birds, not Psycho.
Oh,
My
you're
bad.
right.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
it.
guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really wild movie, and I mean all real lions, obviously.
Yeah.
So
it was like her mom or her parents or something that just had this menagerie of big cats.
Yeah.
And they were like, let's use them for the film. They weren't even like trained actor animals.
Not even
really
close.
There's always going to be, mistakes and people getting hurt by wild animals that are trained. But I do think as far as Hollywood's concerned, generally those handlers like know their animals very well, know the cues, know how like what they can handle and what they can't handle.
Sure.
Especially the bear trainers, they're typically pretty good at it. But like in that movie, they were just kind of like, let's use our pets, and people were just getting mauled left and right. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely need to revisit that too.
Yeah, we're gonna do a full episode on that one for sure.
I'm definitely gonna skip that. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's a hoot. It's
yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of children of actors in movies, did you guys hear about the controversy with Idris and his daughter in this?
She auditioned and didn't get cast, which makes me think that either the casting director was a moron or his daughter is the worst actress on the planet for this girl to get cast over her.
I kind of respect that Idris wasn't like, no, you're casting her.
I love it.
Like
I love
that it
that.
wasn't just a nepotism thing where he was like, no, like it's me in a package with her or nothing.
Yeah.
It kind of made me happy reading that.
Oh no,
it would suck
agree.
if you're his daughter and it's like, oh, I can't even get this.
I'm not
role.
even good enough to be my dad's daughter.
Well, he said she didn't talk to him for like 3 weeks after not getting it. She was really mad.
Yeah.
But I love that too. It made me really like him even more. But I just mean
he's
like
great.
the girl who got the part was not, in my opinion,
was
very
not
good.
there.
And
well,
so
and maybe
you
know what though? Maybe that was a choice though, because she's not supposed to have chemistry with her dad. She's supposed to have this conflicted relationship.
Yeah. I think that's part of why I was disappointed about this movie though, was like, this wasn't a movie that was really on my radar. I wasn't sure I was going to see it in theaters. But what made me want to see it was that it was Idris Elba and Charlito. How do you say his name?
Sharlto Copley. Yeah.
Sharlto Copley. Yeah. So like I love District 9. I love a lot of Idris's work.
Yeah.
Had this been like, The Rock or Chris,
It seems like it was more of a rock vehicle.
Yeah.
Had it been one of the Chris's, what's the one in Jurassic World? Chris.
Oh, that's a Pratt.
He's Chris Pratt. Yeah. Had it been either of them, like I wouldn't even seen this when it came out on streaming. Like it would have been a pass for me. But because it was those two actors, I was like, like this could be good. And at the beginning, I was kind of like, I like that it's Idris. I like that he's an interesting character. And then it kind of just all fell apart.
Oh,
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Huge waste of talent.
Yeah.
For Sharlto and Idris to do like a modern B movie, which is, I mean, that's all you could describe this as. It's like a high budget B movie, which, oh my God, I just looked at the budget. $36 million. Which, I mean, that's modest, I guess, for what they're doing.
I'm sure it'll make that.
It's made 24 already.
Yeah, so they'll probably they'll at least break even. Yeah. There was some good jump scares. I'll give them that.
And I thought that was one of the things I thought was kind of cool. And you might have a little bit more information about this too. Is the gore, the wounds from the lions, looked good. Maybe they don't look like that in reality.
I was actually disappointed because today I looked at the IMDb and I saw that it was rated R, and I thought that was like a really tame rated R movie.
Yeah.
And I think they could have gone a lot harder on like some of those kills.
Oh no, you too?
I'm with you.
Oh.
I think that's true. Especially considering like dialogue and all of that seemed pretty tame in PG-13, like a choice that they were like playing it a certain way.
All of the kills were pretty much off camera.
For the most part, and the only thing you really see is Uncle Martin's bad leg. For the most part. And maybe that final sequence, which I don't know if we're really going to get into unless you want to do a dead giveaways. I kind of want to talk about the very last scene, though.
I want to talk about the last sequence because if we already learned that we should have stayed in the car to begin with, but if we didn't stay in the car, I want to know how that should have played out, what he should have done instead of that, because I feel like it probably wasn't that should have been done.
It's time for dead giveaways. This is the point in the show where we spoil parts of a movie. If you want to see this unspoiled, I recommend you go check out Beast. It might still be in theaters. Who knows? All right, let's dig in. What happens when you leave the car?
For me, the third act was really where they lost me. Like I actually found myself falling asleep.
No, I'm with you.
Like,
I went to the late show. It was like 11, and I was struggling.
I was bored. I was just kind of like, they're all three gonna make it. Like none of these people are gonna die.
3 or 4.
So, well, yeah, exactly. I didn't. At that point, I wasn't invested in Uncle Martin anymore. It just didn't really matter
pause
to
for
me.
1 second. I need to acknowledge, Byron, we have said Uncle Martin like no less than 30 times.
Yeah,
and I haven't mentioned Clifford once. And so I just need to throw out that like whole time they were talking about Uncle Martin, all I could think of was Clifford.
See, I don't know that reference.
Clifford,
I refuse.
Yeah, in Clifford, his uncle is Uncle Martin. So
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
No, it's not a good movie, and that's all the time we've got, actually, Wes. So it's been really pleasant having until this point.
It's the best. Oh,
there's a scene in that movie where he's like, can't you just act like a normal person for 1 second?
My favorite.
And he's
it's my favorite. I play it for my daughters sometimes when I'm like, what is wrong with you? This is you right now.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
See, Byron?
Anyway.
Ha-ha.
Yeah, so we found another one.
Uncle Martin, like, are we talking after he's gone?
Well, let's talk about this. I mean, he does some brave stuff. He really did solidify himself as like the coolest fucking guy on the planet. Like,
he was
really like,
great.
Other than making the mistake of, he's supposed to be a lion guy that loves protecting lions. He immediately like walks into the jungle to shoot this lion.
Yeah,
gets. I mean, I guess we can call it mortally wounded because.
And keep in mind the subtext here is he doesn't just love lions. He loves them so much that he's apparently an anti-poacher, which I need to find out if that's a real thing. Because
I don't think there's anti-poaching squads out there for sure.
Yeah,
they'll hire like Israeli ex-military and all these people to go like kill poachers. Yeah, but that like term anti-poacher, I don't know if that's something that's real or if they just made that up for the movie.
Sure.
Okay.
Like from a wildlife perspective, if you're in charge of that park and you see that a lion's killed, a handful of people, even a person, that's an animal that you do have to remove.
Okay.
Him going to kill the lion makes total sense. Like that is,
Sure.
It's a liability. It's going to do it again, likely.
Would you do it right away though? Like,
you would want to get rid of it as
Okay.
soon as possible. I mean, I wouldn't do it in the moment like he did. I would like make sure everyone's okay, and then I'd go out with the whole team.
Get them out.
And I would like have a blind, and I would have like multiple guns and everything. But
you'd call up Bungie, and of course,
yeah, I don't think that was
the true hero.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
He's the best.
I don't think that was out of character, but some stuff after he was gone that was really weird to me was like that schoolhouse that they went to was like the poachers camp.
Yeah.
And they just never thought to check in there.
Yeah, it makes me think that people like were somewhat colluding. That
Right.
maybe Bungie wasn't a great guy because
There's this whole
maybe he's getting paid off by the
sub-story
poachers.
that's-
Like,
They walk in, and I mean, at this point, it's like Michael Myers. They should be expecting the lion to still be alive, right? Like, the lion
Right.
survived enough already that it's like, okay, obviously the lion is still after you. Why are you just leaving the doors wide open? What is wrong with you?
Watch your
That
sister.
drove
I'm
me
going to go
crazy.
wander around again for the fifth
exactly.
time this movie.
Unarmed. Yeah. Well, and so that's like another thing for me with my background is like the difference between like a situation where you're just trying to 100% get out of there or one where you actually have some control is whether or not you have some kind of deterrent.
Okay.
And so for like with a grizzly bear, for example, like bear spray, I feel much more comfortable in any kind of circumstance with a grizzly bear if I have bear spray. There's a lot of points in that movie where he's like, okay, I'm going to go do something. And he has like absolutely nothing to protect himself besides like a knife
walks
or
by,
something. Yeah.
like
He had a
15
knife
guns on the
rest.
ground and just is like, I'm just going to keep going.
Right. And for me, that's just illogical. Like no one would actually do that.
What about how bad of a shot he is too? Like
Yeah,
how
terrible
he
shot.
like never aims a gun, just shoots as he raises it every single time.
He probably
Like,
hasn't shot one before.
I recognize that
mean,
he's a doctor and like he might not have ever shot a gun.
It's not rocket science though. Like he gets it to shoot. So it's
Sure.
like you look
I
through
guess
the
that's
thing and there's a cross on there and you like put
That's
that
true.
cross. Like we all know how to shoot a gun.
I think
but
that
we
all
are
have,
Americans.
Like, we're all
yeah,
from
we are
Montana,
Americans and we're Montanans even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
so
it's,
like,
it's different. The tranquilizer dart. Why didn't it work on that lion?
So
It was kind of.
It
they
really
just
depends on, like-
went right over that though. Kind of.
yeah, it could be a lot of stuff. And like that to me wasn't unrealistic because if depending on like the dosage, you maybe that dart was for like a cheetah or an impala or something, you know, and if you hit a big male lion with that, it's not going to put it down. And then also sometimes when an animal really is just like in an adrenaline rush, it takes a while for that to set in and it won't even fully set in.
Okay.
Like I've had bears before in dens where I've darted them or not dart them, but I hit them with like a syringe and I've literally had to like restrain them until they pass out because they're
wow.
just like so keyed
When you
up.
say you hit him with a syringe, do you walk up to a bear and?
I have wrestled a bear before.
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
You like I have a pole that has a syringe on the end of it and you like hit. It was a groggy bear. It was a bear that was going under, but I
And you
had
just
to
had
hold
to
it
kinda-
down while it was. Yeah. But so yeah, that to me wasn't like if you're not a professional, you're not going to know how to dose that lion, where to hit it. A lot of times those darts actually have a little explosive charge in them, so when you when the dart hits it, it'll explode the drug into the animal, and that's why you need to shoot it out of a gun. Like
You can't
grabbing
just
it
stab
and
it
like
like that.
stabbing it probably wouldn't make that charge explode.
That's interesting.
So yeah, so it could have been a lot of things. So that wasn't like a
That
problem
didn't bug
for
you.
me.
All right.
Yeah.
But when you're alone in a poacher's cabin, which actually has nothing in it as well, that was kind of
Yeah, there
the
should have been
whole-
some guns in there.
The whole thing is just like a stretched third act. Like the poacher's part was completely weird
Yeah.
and slightly unnecessary. If they were going to go
I agree
down
with
that
that.
path, they should have like leaned into it a little bit more.
It made me think of Cujo, the movie Cujo.
Sure.
Where it was like, that is such an insular environment, and it was so terrifying and good, back in the day at least.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have to weave in all these other, there didn't have to be like all these other things that happened. It was like,
simple.
no, this is like man versus beast, and it's simple and it's beautiful and like, it's primal. It's like something that we all have inside of us. Like, oh, we don't want to get eaten by animals.
Yeah.
This lion had already proven itself to be like a very dangerous, scary
Yeah.
thing.
And those poachers were such a blip too. Like they
Yeah.
were there and then they were gone.
Well, I think that was a good opportunity to show like, I don't know how little
Some more people getting killed.
Well, it was silly because some of them weren't even dead. Like the doctor literally like pulls the keys out of a guy who's still alive's pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand poachers are bad, but like he just
They are bad.
disregarded the lives of two people.
What about the Hippocratic Oath, right?
That's a good point.
It doesn't apply to poachers. It's in the fine print. It does not apply to poachers.
But
Fair
like
enough.
his
I'm
whole,
on board with that.
I can get behind that as well. Even I can.
Yeah.
But his like ramboing around in the swamp, avoiding the scent of the.
It was terrible.
What about like throwing a snake on the back of a lion though? That's pretty.
That
cool.
was the worst part for me.
Yes,
you don't have to
what
have
kind
the
of snake was
in there
that?
too.
What kind of snake?
I mean, I think they're trying to make it a black mamba.
Okay.
And that is like
But
a
it
snake
wasn't.
that if you get bit by a black mamba, you're done in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
But the whole like it trying to like get him, like that snake's trying to get away from him, if anything, and like maybe it would bite him if he like tried to grab it or something, but it like striking out at him, that was just, you just don't need to
kill
add
a
that
lion. Could a
I
black
don't
mamba
think it
kill
bit
a
the
lion?
Yeah,
It could
Really?
It could
have,
kill
though.
a lion. Yeah.
When I was listening to your Ghost of Savo series, you mentioned the movie The Ghost in the Darkness.
Yes.
Was this their owl moment? Is that what they were trying to do? Like,
kind of. Yeah. But like to me, the owl wasn't that far out. The snake, I just feel like anytime someone's climbing in a tree in like a movie in Africa or like in a jungle, there's always got to be a snake. It's just gotten so cliche. It just is. It's unnecessary.
Totally.
Like you've got
Reminds me of the Chipmunk Adventure. That happens in the Chipmunk Adventure, you guys.
Of course, it reminds you of a Chipmunk Adventure.
It does. Yep.
All right.
Is that the new Chipmunk movie?
No, she's the
I
classic.
haven't
only.
seen the new ones.
Okay.
No, I'm talking like old school, like Chipmunks
All
and
right.
Chipettes, Trip Around the World. It's a good one, Wes. You should revisit it.
I'll check it out. Why not?
It's
I
great.
mean, I would
It's
say
great.
no. I'd say skip it, Wes. Real
Nope.
quick.
Nope.
Let's hit that final sequence, the fight, the one that everyone cares about. Idris Elba leading Scar from Lion King out into the middle of the desert. To
Okay,
have
he's
a
not
one-on-
Scar. Stop. He's not Scar.
At that
This
point, he
poor
kind of
guy.
looks like it.
Yeah, he's all burnt
does
up
look like him.
from his
I will,
encounter
like-
with Uncle Martin.
For me, it's like the series of bad choices that lead up to that moment too. Like he throws his gun away when he's in a poacher's camp. Like surely there's some bullets around.
Yeah.
Right.
Throws the gun, puts his girls in the room and says, "Trust me," and then grabs his knife. And it's like, oh, so he's got a plan. And then his plan is just like, oh, I'm gonna go get killed by this lion.
Yes,
You know?
and it would have happened immediately,
Okay.
right? Like,
No, but his
Yeah.
his
Oh, yeah.
plan was to draw out the other pride, right? And like
Was it?
to have them. I mean,
I feel
okay,
like
in
that
my
was a
head,
lucky
that's what
break.
it was.
Okay,
It's
maybe.
hard-
See, I was
hard to
bragging
say.
to Sam because my practical survival skills suck. Like our marriage arrangement is that while society is functioning, I'm really useful and I can figure out ways to navigate travel and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And once society falls apart, like he's on and I'm off. Like I have no skills to contribute whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so in this movie, when he walked out and I'm like, oh, he's going to draw the other lions out to
Huge-
attack this
huge
lion
difference,
because he's
Kelly.
injured now. And I was
So you-
really proud of myself.
no,
for that.
you figured out what the director wanted to do with that opening sequence and showing that. That's not that's not how to survive a lion attack.
That'd be a
Kelly.
terrible way to survive a lion attack.
Like, no, it's a
Okay,
great idea to
okay.
make a
Let's
movie.
add more lions to this.
Yeah,
Yeah. For me, like
they might wait until he's dead and then steal the body for food. That might be something they do.
I guess that went over my head that was like his plan.
Well, because at the beginning,
it was a terrible
I think
plan.
Bungie,
Okay, so it's
Bungie
not
was
a good
talking
plan.
about that in the beginning.
Yeah, like how they're territorial and they would like run off any other male.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
They'd rip apart any other
I get
lion.
that.
Yeah,
The thing though that's hard for me with that whole scene, and I'm gonna get into kind of my biologist mode again here.
I love it.
I
Is
love
that with big cats, they are a dispatch and kill kind of animal. A grizzly bear or wolves or something, they're like a grizzly bear is just going to sit on you if it decides it wants to eat you. It's just truly going to eat you while you bleed out. It's a terrible way to go. Wolves, wild dogs, all those animals are kind of the same way. They just truly just tear you apart.
Sure.
Whereas big cats will actually dispatch their prey. Like they want to kill it first. And so lions typically go for like the windpipe and they'll
The
like
back of the
compress
neck
it
too, right? Like
they'll bite it. Mountain lions will go for back of the neck.
That's what I'm
Sometimes
thinking.
lions will as well, but they generally for bigger prey will go for their neck, and you essentially suffocate. And so for me, it was hard because it was like that lion was just kind of tearing him apart. A big man, even a guy like Idris Elba, is no match for an African lion. Like it would have no problem just simply dominating him, grabbing his throat and killing him. There'd be no time for these other lions to intervene even. That's where it lost me, was like, if that had been a mountain lion, or had it been a leopard, or had it been something a little bit less powerful, I do think you can fight it for a while and then maybe wait for this other animal to come help you.
Sure.
But with a big African lion, it's too powerful. He wouldn't survive that long. Yeah.
I mean, he lost me a couple, like in the concept, I guess I was lost, but
well, in our Lions of Tsavo episode, like, those lions were smaller as far as lions are concerned, and they were literally like pulling people through these thorn bushes and fences. Yeah, the acacia barricades that these people had set up, and they're just like, we are nothing to them. We are the easiest prey they will ever catch. We're soft. We don't have any natural defenses. It would be very easy for him just to kill Edris Elba.
Yeah, you were saying that they were putting people's heads in their mouths and running full speed.
Yeah, they literally would pick people off the ground and run with them. Yeah. So it's not, you don't have the time that you would have with some other animals.
But it looked cool as hell, guys, seeing this lion rip up Edris Elba.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
It was cool. Yeah.
Which led to my, I think, least favorite. Oh, God, this put a bad taste in my mouth. When they're at the hospital later, and he's healing after, well, we didn't even talk about these weird dream sequences where he's coming to terms with whatever happened.
I thought it was kind of nice.
It was nice, but it didn't really say much. Like, I guess I understand the point was that she's kind of like forgiving him. But
he was just apologizing for letting her die, right?
It just wasn't really explicit, and it didn't.
It just felt forced to me.
Totally, yeah. And it felt like stylistically forced. Like it didn't.
I wonder if a lot of it ended up on the cutting room floor, and maybe there was more
possible.
of that, and like it made more sense.
Probably. Before. And for me, I will say one thing I really liked about this movie was that it was 93 minutes long.
Sure, that's what I was about to say.
And I don't.
More movies you can rely on for that.
I don't mean that because it's like a bad movie. Like even good movies, I sometimes really like when they're that short, and
we're
especially
old
like
now. I don't have time for that.
Unless it's some like fantasy epic or something where I really just want to like sit down and be immersed in a world. But if it's like something like this, give me an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I did like that about this one.
Yeah, but okay, the hospital scene though, where they're
I can't even remember it.
Well, yeah, you were probably pretty zonked at that.
I was
he was
drowsy.
just recovering, right?
Well, no, he's recovering, but the two daughters, it seems like they've kind of come around on their father. He's shown he's like sacrificed.
Well, yeah, he almost died. They have to now.
You know who did die? That was Uncle Martin, and no one gives a shit. No one's sad.
That's true.
No one cares, which broke my heart because he's the true hero of this whole thing. Really, like the kids would be dead without.
I think those other lions are the true heroes.
That's
I
honestly
agree.
A good point. I do apologize.
I agree.
But like they're like smiling at their dad, knowing that Uncle Martin is dead, and no one cares. There was anger in this movie, but there was never any sadness. Like, in I think that if you're going to lean on
they were sad.
this,
they were just more excited that their dad survived. It's okay.
I'm just saying in general, though, if you're going to make a movie about grief and loss, no one was sad ever. Like,
there wasn't any real emotion at all. Like there wasn't any like actual fear or sadness or happiness or anything. It was very strange.
It was angry, which was kind of weird. Like
true.
I mean,
but
even the anger wasn't shown in a really like it didn't land. Like the daughter's anger at her dad never felt genuine.
Right. To me, it just gets back to that whole thing. Like, I don't like that it had to be like he had to sacrifice himself to lions to win back his daughter's trust because he wasn't there for their mom when she was dying of cancer. Like that's not a real life scenario. That's not something anyone in this world can relate
that out
to.
Loud made it seem real absurd.
You know?
Yeah,
it's just dumb. It's like just get rid of that whole plot line and just make it like
just survive the lion.
Like you got a teenage girl that's not interested in your life, and you're not really interested in her life, and that's your big issue. It's not that your wife died of cancer and you weren't there for her.
Yeah,
like it's just too much. That's just I don't know.
God,
there was see. It's just because we all saw Jurassic Park when we were little, and that was like the vibe there, and so that's
the bar's
what
way up here. I almost had a meltdown when the youngest daughter was hyperventilating after the first lion attack. I was like, there's no way she has like asthma. Are we really going to do this?
Right.
Like, I had a feeling
she
that
like
was
can't find her inhaler.
Exactly. As long as the kids don't have asthma or diabetes.
Yeah. For me, it just, it just felt forced. And it's like, if you have a 10-part TV series and that wants to be the background of the story, then yeah, you have time to make us care about those characters. Sure. You have time to make us feel the strain in their relationship. In a 93-minute movie, you don't have that time. No, so it's like, make it something that we can all relate to. Like, teenage girls are really hard to deal with.
Sure. Yeah, that could have been easy enough. True. And Kelly, you know that well. They're coming up. So,
So
Okay, so fine. It wasn't great. Before we give our final thoughts, though, Wes, can you tell me, broad scope, what do you think the best animal attack movie ever is and the worst animal attack movie ever is? And you can't say this one for either.
The best is really easy for me. It's Jaws. Like, not only is that the best animal attack movie ever, it's maybe the best movie ever made, in my opinion. Like, I think it's a near perfect movie. For me, the worst, I guess there's so many terrible B movies about animal attacks, so I'm just gonna kind of exclude those.
So no,
as
like
far as
shark,
like Sharknado and like.
I get press releases for a new shark film every week. It's insane, and they're terrible.
So as far as like bigger budget movies, it's one that I mean, there's some that I actually really like, but I think they're terrible movies.
That's okay.
Like Anaconda.
Sure, great movie.
That's one that we reference a lot on the podcast, but it's a bad movie.
But it's fun. It's so fun.
It is fun. So I don't know if I'd pick that. This is a hard question to answer on the spot.
It is a really hard question.
A tough one.
It is. While you're thinking about it, what do you think is the appropriate age to first watch Jaws?
I was 6. That was too young.
No,
but
I'll
give it to my
because
parents.
You became
I was
a wildlife
begging
biologist.
them. Yeah. And great whites are my favorite animal, probably. Them and grizzlies are like kind of always fighting for that spot. But I really wouldn't leave them alone about it, and they finally let me watch it at 6. And I was terrified to swim in even swimming pools for a long time. I still did it, but I was constantly looking around for sharks. I think I was a little young. I think Jaws is 9 or 10 is probably the right age.
I was going to say, mine's almost 8. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball already. She turns 8 in like 2 weeks. And
that one's a bit of a scaredy cat, no offense.
She is a total scaredy cat.
Like the scene where Quint is getting eaten by the shark and he's screaming and it's like devouring him on the boat. Yeah. It's still, and like the kid with all the spray going up in the air and stuff, it's a violent movie and it's very visceral. I don't know.
And it's a movie about danger that you have no idea is coming.
Right. And
what about Jurassic
unstoppable
Park?
Force. Oh, 5 or 6.
Yeah,
okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll win that one at least. Okay. Yeah. And if you don't have a worst, that's okay, because I did put you on the spot.
Kevin James Zookeeper, of course.
The movie Piranha was a terrible one. Like not the old one from the 70s, like the one they redid in like the 2000s was 3D. Really bad. Yeah, that was it was just like an excuse to show boobs.
Well, and Jerry O'Connell's penis does float around in 3D, so that's pretty
exactly.
True.
It has some campy appeal, I guess, but that was one that I was like, I don't ever need to watch this movie again.
I'll give you that.
Okay, my favorite moment from Beast. Is it Beast or The Beast? I don't even know that at this point.
Just Beast, yeah.
Wasn't there a Peter Benchley book named The Beast too? He wrote Jaws, didn't he? Right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was about like a squid or something.
Yeah, a kraken. Yeah. Okay, very good. My low point was the daughters were arguing with each other, because I did feel like the relationship between the two daughters, even though the daughters being kind of weird to their dad, that didn't feel terribly off to me. But the relationship between the two of them, I thought was really stupid and weak, and I really didn't like that. My favorite part, even though it was unrealistic and it's not what he should have done, I really loved the wrestling at the end, because it's what I thought he should do, and I was feeling very strong to have come up with that idea. So I'm just going to hold on to it, and that was my favorite part.
All right.
Am I supposed to give my score yet too, Byron, or are we doing highs, lows first?
Why not? Yeah, that seems like a final thought.
Yeah, so my score, because it was entertaining and it gave us an excuse to talk to Wes, even though it wasn't a great movie, I would give it 5.2 rainbows of emotions that you can access at any time. I don't know if you remember when she said that, Byron. I knew you were going to just...
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
See, these are the things, those are the weird things I picked up on. But yeah. B, what's your high and low?
Let's think. High is obviously Bungie's smile. Even though there's probably some darkness behind those eyes, I think he is involved in the poaching.
He's very charismatic.
In the fact that he like totally wrapped around this story, I thought that was really cool. The attempted wraparounds, but you know, him being there to let us in and being there to save the day, other than the
weird romantic tension between him and the teenager, like the teenager was a little strange.
It's
though.
a little
real
off-putting.
forced.
I agree.
Real forced.
But there's something about he's got like permanent resort guy vibes, you know. But
maybe he'll be on the next season of White Lotus.
Maybe he'll be in Beast
Great
too.
show.
Great show.
And that was my high. My low has got to be the unceremonious death of Uncle Martin. I don't think anyone gave him the credit that he deserved for being a hero. When he self-immolated,
it wasn't that heroic.
He burned himself alive. And the
but he
kids
didn't
are like,
kill the lion.
When Idris Elba returns and is like, "Where's Uncle Martin?" They're like, I think he's in the fire. That was like it. They didn't care that he exploded in a van.
Yeah.
Guys, that
wasn't very nice.
That's fair.
It's not okay. So that's my low point. I think they disrespected my guy. And for those reasons, I give Beast 4.4 half-drank bottles of water.
By the way, Wes, it's a scale of 1 to 10. Sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a
Probably
good
should
thing.
have clarified that. Yeah.
My high was the scene where Idris Elba's like going to see where Uncle Martin went. Mm-hmm. And then he turns, and he's like running, and you know something's behind him, and he runs into the car and closes the door, and then you see the lion hit the window. Yeah. It was in the trailer, but I really liked the way that was shot because it wasn't like you didn't see the lion. It was like a classic horror movie thing where it's like there's something behind him, and you know it's a lion at that point, but like I thought that was shot well. I liked that part. I would say my low was the Black Mamba part, just because it didn't need to be there. Snake striking is like one of the fastest things in the natural world. Like you can't catch a snake when it strikes at you like that. So
he's a doctor,
and even if you did, it's probably still gonna bite you. It was like an action movie thing all of a sudden, like a B action movie segment, and like a movie that up until that point didn't have too many of those. Because I actually liked that they didn't make him an action hero until the very end, you know? And even at the end when he was fighting the lion, like the lion was winning. Like he wasn't going to win that fight.
He didn't have much longer.
Yeah. No. And so I did like that. And that part for me took me out of that. So I will give it, we do a claw system on
Let's do
on
yours.
Tooth and
I
Claw,
love
so
it.
I'm going to do claws.
Let's do it.
5 out of 10 claws.
All
and
right.
I give it 5 because I still like the actors. I still like that it's a movie in Africa, that it was a black male lead, you know, and the 2 girls were also black. I thought that was great. You know, there's not too many of those movies, and I think it was good. And so for me, that, and that it's in Africa, and that it's like a beautiful place that I have a connection to, and that it's about animals, gives it a couple claws
Like
to begin
bonus
with. So
claws.
yeah.
Claws.
Okay.
So it's a 5 for me, but I wasn't
Awesome.
let down. Yeah.
And those are our thoughts on Beast, which is available now in theaters. If you want to check it out, I'd do it quickly because I doubt it'll be there much longer.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it, we are very curious to know what you think. You can reach out to us on social media at Frightday on Twitter and Instagram. You can send us an email, contact@frightday.com. We want to hear your thoughts. And if you want to hear more of Wes's thoughts, you got a great podcast.
Yeah.
Big fan of it.
Wes, I have a request for your podcast,
Yeah.
Tooth and Claw. I haven't heard you guys cover anything about Bigfoot yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can hang
Yeah,
up if you'd
I'm
like.
really-
It's totally fine.
We have that in the pipeline.
No way,
April
seriously?
Fools?
It's
April
going to be
Fools
like
is
a
over.
Halloween episode or something, but there's a podcast that is somehow connected to our network called the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Oh, I've heard
and
of
they've compiled some Bigfoot stories that they're going to bring to our podcast. So we are going to do a show with them and do some Bigfoot stuff. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
personally not a believer, but yeah.
Damn it! Oh,
Sorry.
I was so hoping. Okay,
a lot of the cryptozoology stuff, I don't have a strong opinion on.
they
and
don't
there's a
teach
lot
you
of
that,
it
in school for
in my
no?
my master's
No?
degree.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But like I've seen some weird things. I've had some weird things happen to me with like some skinwalker stuff and some other stuff that's
We'll have
pretty
to bring
weird.
it back. This sounds
Oh
like
my gosh,
stuff we're gonna
Utah!
have to
Have you
talk
been to
about.
Skinwalker Ranch?
I'll send you a photo after this that's going to blow your mind. I think you knew about this photo because you were going to have me on at one point to talk about it.
Yeah. It's the scariest. It's my favorite Halloween ghost story ever. I love it.
Anyway.
And that isn't doctored. Like, that's for real. Like, you didn't, like, Photoshop that. No, it's for real.
No. Yeah, it still freaks me out. But, like, Bigfoot, for me, it's like an animal. Bigfoot's an animal, and it's too big of an animal for us not to know about it. That's my problem, is, like, megafauna, it's all been discovered as far as I'm considered, like, unless it's in the ocean or something. Like, animals that size leave marks there. We would know if they were out there.
So I'm sending you my interview with Meldrum, okay? Yeah, because I ask all these questions and I thought he had pretty good answers. Yeah, so I'm sending it.
Yeah.
So,
but really, have you been to Skinwalker Ranch? Sorry, I want to know if he's been to Skinwalker Ranch. He was in Utah forever.
We'll talk about that. Real quick, though, a theory that another podcaster on this network has proposed often about big feet and why we don't find the bodies.
Yeah.
He says that we don't find the bones because other big feet eat the bones. How do you feel about that theory?
It's not just the bones, though. It would be like daybeds. It would be tracks.
Oh, they find daybeds. Wes, they find daybeds.
No, they don't.
Olympic Peninsula?
I think there would be so much more evidence. Like, this is an animal that's the size of like a grizzly bear, more or less, or a gorilla or whatever. They're too large of an animal for there not to be, unless they're highly intelligent and they can like conceal themselves. And that's why I never say like Bigfoot does not exist. I'm not a person like, I grew up religious. I believed in some pretty kooky things. Like, I don't think that you should ever discourage or like discount what people believe in. Mm-hmm. But for me,
except
as
for
a biologist,
adrenochrome conspiracy theories, you should discount those.
For me, as a biologist, it's really hard to believe in Bigfoot. It's just that one's too hard for me. It's too big of a jump.
So, Wes, your podcast, I don't know, we've talked a little bit about it. Let's point our listeners in that direction. What's your podcast all about?
It's called Tooth and Claw. It's all about animal attacks. But I grew up, watching these shows about animal attacks, reading about them in books, and it was always unfair to the animals. It was always demonizing the animals. It always made them seem like they're bloodthirsty monsters. And as I, went through my journey in wildlife biology, I learned about animal behavior, and I realized these stories are still really interesting and they can still teach us a lot. And you don't need to demonize the animal. You can talk about why the animal is just doing its natural behavior and why it's usually the people that are doing something wrong. And it's a way to still be able to kind of enjoy those stories that are so interesting without having that negative effect. And what we've found is it's actually had a positive effect, and people feel a lot safer going out in the outdoors after hearing the stories and us explaining how you can be better prepared for those interactions. And I host it with my little brother, who's really funny, and then our friend Mike, who's also really funny. They kind of provide some layman kind of questions and opinions and perspectives. Mm-hmm. We've been really happy with how it's turned out. And it's Tooth and Claw. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. We're on the Q Code Network.
It is so much fun. It's really great to listen to, and I think a lot of our listeners would enjoy it. First of all, we have a lot of people that listen who don't even like horror movies, but I would say an overwhelming percentage of the people who listen and do like horror movies hate horror movies where animals get injured. That we got a lot of animal lovers, like way more than human lovers. And it is a really great series because you listen to these podcasts and you find out things about the animals that you didn't know, but I have yet to find one where it's like the animal's the villain, So
yeah, and we've had people that have truly like it's completely changed their perspective of how they interact with the outdoors. And then we've actually like a girl who got bit by a rattlesnake, like she didn't lose her leg because of the podcast. And we've had like other people that have written us say like, I had a moose charge me and I knew exactly what to do, or I had this bear encounter, I knew what to do. So it could save your life, and that's the other pitch for it. Like
it is.
Yeah,
that's important.
Like legitimately, we always talk to my girls about it after the episodes. We're like, hey, this is like, I don't let them listen to it yet because they are really wussy about
They're scaredy cats.
But and I also don't want them to be just innately terrified of animals.
Right.
It's always like, hey, this is seriously a takeaway, guys. This is what you should do.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys like it.
It's really great.
Well, and the most our show does is save people like $10 in time. So
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I think your guys' show is really fun, though. I really enjoyed today and talking about this movie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anytime an animal does something in a film from here on out, we'll bump you.
Or about the Skinwalker Ranch at some
get
point.
there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Which the Skinwalker Ranch, I've never been there to answer your question, but that experience with the SWs is what I call them, just so we don't, was kind of crazy for me. So I'll be back out sometime to talk about that.
I'd love to hear that.
Oh my gosh, that would be a blast. That would be. It is the best story. Oh, I love that story. And the photo that goes with it is just unbelievable. Oh my God.
Great.
Well, Wes, thank you so much. I know we took more time than we planned. I really appreciate it.
It was fun to catch up.
How about that?
Who knew that my friend who made me eat grasshoppers would turn out to be such an amazing human?
Cool guy.
Actually, I knew that. He was always really nice.
I mean, you chewed on a grasshopper.
I mean, I ate a grasshopper. Can you imagine me being that brave?
So I know Wes said it, but check out Tooth and Claw.
It is really, really fun. And some of the episodes are wildly spooky and others are really super informative.
It's always fun, though.
I love learning things. My favorite zone for podcasts is the ability to feel entertained and also like spending my time wisely by gaining useful information.
Well, I'm happy that we gained an animal expert that we're going to call every time we see an animal in a movie.
Well, yeah, now you need to come up with an animal authenticity report.
Well, we'll get Wes on the horn is what we'll call it. And I'll blow like a bugle.
A bugle?
Like a literal horn.
A literal horn. Now I get it.
And get Wes on the horn.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that, I suppose.
Let's workshop that whole thing.
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
know he has this giant ball python?
I don't want to go to Wes's house anymore.
I'm taking the kids to Wes's house.
That sounds like a scary place to go. I don't want to do it.
You know, it's going to be really fun.
This has been great, Kelly.
Well, yeah. Obviously.
Calm down. I feel a lot of aggression towards you.
Obviously, it's been great.
Yeah.
Is that a skunk?
It is a skunk, yeah. We better get off the...
What if a skunk just crawled up the stairs onto this porch and sprayed us?
We have to get Wes on the horn.
I was going to say, we didn't ask Wes about how to avoid skunks.
Kelly, until next Wes, where are you going to be?
I am going to be at Kelly Frightday on Twitter. You can email me, kelly@frightday.com. I'm going to be writing a really great letter to our inner circle.
Oh, cool. You're still talking about that, huh?
Yep, I still am.
All right. And I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter and Instagram. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. And until next Frightday, where we're going to be potentially talking about Lemuria.
Yeah.
I'm Byron.
I'm Kelly. Stay in the car.
And stay scared.
You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McKoy, theme music provided by Cemeteries. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.
I would say that there's some really good stuff in there.
No, you would say that. You would. See, the thing is, even you know right now that you fucked up a little bit. Even you know that. Just a little.
No.